everyone, Elise Quevedo here. Cannot believe it's been 1 month since Mobile World Congress Barcelona 2023, and with so much to still catch up on, it feels like it was yesterday that we left Barcelona. As you know, one of the brands I spent some time with was Chinese tech giant Huawei. I got to speak to more executives this year to understand what they were doing in different departments. And today, I'm back with Edwin Diender, Chief Innovation Officer of the Electric Power Digitalization Business Unit at Huawei's Enterprise Business Group, to hear his thoughts on Mobile World Congress this year. Good day, Edwin.
Hi, Elise, and thank again for having me. And
Of
what a great MWC it was, right? Massive, supersized, temperature was good. Barcelona is a great city. Opportunities are arising. It was just fantastic all over.
As always, a big thank you to GSMA for continuing to put this event together. So let's get right to it. Edwin, what were your highlights from Mobile World Congress this year?
Well, I had a few, and I remember in the video prior to Mobile World Congress that we did, we mentioned a bit about expectations, and those expectations were not met at all, um, because those expectations were exceeding with expectations. It was beyond what I then expressed as what my expectation would be. I thought, and I imagined that more people would join than ever before, and lo and behold, it was a massive amount of people, and from all over the world. This was to be expected then. Um, One of the things that struck me with great positivity, so to speak, is that prior and previously, with all these kinds of events, I'm sure you can imagine in what way people like myself and other business leaders and executives have when it comes to having a busy schedule, because everybody wants to meet, everybody wants to talk, everybody wants to share thoughts and catch up and so on and so forth. This was no different, except with one particular difference from previous occasions. This was the very first time ever that I was part of meetings that were not just about information sharing or about the latest and greatest, what was on show, or we should repeat this and do this somewhere local. No. I had several meetings during Mobile World Congress where proposals that we've made in the past or a couple of weeks ago were brought with as a printout on the table and directly discussed, not only with myself, but with colleagues from my department and from the different regions and from head office and country teams, for customers to be in direct contact with all the people in our leadership teams and to negotiate about what is on paper, because they really want to move forward. And that was one of the key differentiators that I can clearly highlight and express my appreciation for in compared to other years.
And I actually agree with you because, like we said, prior to Mobile World Congress, we were talking about what can we expect, what can we imagine, and I agree. I mean, I believe it was 190 countries that were in attendance, nearly 90,000 people, and you could feel the excitement. You could feel people that wanted to do more, which is exactly what we said the last time. I was tired. I mean, me personally, I was tired of just hearing brands talking, and I wanted people to walk the walk, meaning exactly what you shared, which is bring a contract, let's do business, let's not just talk about it. Let's take action now, not tomorrow, not next week. So I am really happy to hear this.
I have one small addition as well. What also struck me as being very positive, and I can clearly give this from my personal experience, in the past, when I joined, or when I was asked to join Mobile World Congress representing Huawei Technology, the Enterprise Business Group, most of the pushback internally in my organization was always about, this is about mobile. This is for people who are in the mobile technology space. This is for the account teams that work with the operators and that work with the carriers. And at that time, my thought already was, and that's why I was able to join Mobile World Congress actually, is that, be that as it may, but all these mobile technologies touch upon enterprise-related businesses and customers in education, in healthcare, public services, manufacturing, transportation, logistics, you name it. But this year specifically, there were a couple of people, high-level executives. For example, the CEO of Thailand-based um, um, a private company, independent energy generator, Gulf. The CEO of Gulf is at Mobile World Congress. From Indonesia, from the electric power company of Indonesia, the Indonesian archipelago, um, the CEO of PLN was at Mobile World Congress explaining very clearly why he, or why they, because I speak about two different people, why they, from a non-mobile technology organization, and maybe even from a non-digital native organization, I mean, electric power, how mechanical and electrical can it be versus non-digital and certainly not digital native, expressed their interest in why they were and why they are interested in joining, being part of, speaking at, and taking learnings from MWC. The M of mobile is not about mobile at all. It is about mobility. And that's exactly what they bring to the table. Huge differentiator from previous years. Great change maker for the rest of the journey, so to speak, as we go forward.
Exactly. And I agree because this is on one of the write-ups that I did. I actually spoke about this, that we had two sides to the Mobile World Congress. One is mobile technology, all related to cell phones, cell manufacturing, the brands that are coming from a consumer point of view. And on the other hand, we had the telcos, we had the behind the scenes, we had networks, we had the business side that you wouldn't always necessarily have at Mobile World Congress. And for example, at your, well, not your booth, but Huawei's booth, which again, this year was, oh my God, so big. One of the things that I also enjoyed was that you had real partners, as you mentioned when we did our pre-video, that were on site. So independent people that were sharing why are we partnering with Huawei? And you were able to ask them directly, okay, so show us what you're doing. What is the benefit of partnering up with tech companies? Meaning that, yes, this is more than just mobile. And this is actually now what leads to my next question, which I'm always curious. From your perspective, Edwin, then why is it so important to continue to have these types of events face to face and not just online? I mean, you've just shared a little bit, but in your experience, do you see a difference from when you do online? Because again, over the last 3 years, we're used to doing a lot of online events versus these face to face.
During the pandemic, or not so much during, but maybe because of the pandemic kicked in a couple of years ago, we were kind of shifting almost overnight from offsite to on-site, from on-site to offsite, from offline to online. And that meant completely disconnected. Everything shifted overnight. In the past years, we might have thought that this might be a continuum. We continue to now do this. And in fact, actually, that's not how we are wired. That's not how we're structured. That's not how systems are set up. And even if you want to break through or break down systems, you have to start from somewhere. And the way to do that is to actually do it physically. You need, even in the world of digital, to do something automated or to make something automated or digitized, you have to physically do that first. You have to open up or flip up, a screen, touch a keyboard in order for digital to work. I think that is a good example or analogy, if you like, or a metaphor of how the world of physical and digital not only coexist, but are two sides of the same coin, are two hands of the same body, if you like, are two worlds that are one. They are not two separate worlds or two worlds that exist next to each other. They are two worlds in one. And that means, very practically, that the ability to share information offline, to not be able to join on site, and to have an opportunity to be part of it remotely, in parallel to being able to travel or being in conversation with people who are on site, who are not remote, who are local, who are physical somewhere. And the mergence of that, the unification of that, the coexistence, and also the interoperability of these two sides of the same coin are proven to be more valuable than keeping them disconnected or thinking, because of the pandemic, we were disconnected and now we continue to be remote. It's just not how we are, not as human beings, not as organization, not as the world, not as society. And the same goes for other items that are physical or digital, news items, webinars, uh, versus media roundtables where journalists are face to face with their contacts that they would like to ask questions to then remotely push them to a cloud platform where Chat GPT and all the other open AI stuff and whatever is optimizing the wording or creating more buzz and so on and so forth, are also good examples of why there is an importance. The second thing, maybe it's a bit of a long answer, but the second thing why this is also important is because it truly works better. And one of my adagios, of course, is that we should allow technology to help us do better what we already do best. And it works best on both sides of the same coin. Being able to physically go somewhere to then digitally handle it or put it in place versus doing something digitally and then physically rolling it out or putting something in place. I can give you an example in terms of design. I work in our global energy business unit in the electric power digitization team, and I help our customers and partners with their digital journey. If you look at how a power plant that needs to be optimized or a new location for a power plant needs to be searched, needs to be implemented, physically speaking, that means a lot of people, traffic, travel, breaking down barriers physically, maybe even cutting trees and whatever to see if something is going on or not, versus the digital platform. In a digital platform, there is 3D simulation, there is 3D modeling, there is extrapolation, there are calculations and algorithms that can show you from a digital point of view what to do best, physically speaking, and then do it physically with the best preparation at the shortest amount of time to be at the highest level of your implementation. Having digital to help you do better what you already do best really comes at play in this particular case. So why is it important to have these kind of events in this kind of way? Because it is available both online as well as offline, both on-site as well as off-site. That's why.
Your insights, as always, so powerful. And I believe the same. For me, it must be hybrid moving forward, exactly for the reasons you've just said. And for me personally, one of the reasons I love to go to face-to-face events is because sometimes throughout the year, you cannot catch up with many of the executives or other departments than you may do an online event, but it's never the same. One of the meetings that I enjoyed going to was actually meeting one of your fellow executives from Huawei, Paul Scanlon. He did a small media roundtable on 5G, sorry, 5.5 G, and it was just a small room, about 12, 13 of us, and that's something that you cannot get online. Online, you cannot get the eye-to-eye contact. You cannot ask the same questions. I feel sometimes for certain areas, you require that face-to-face to then throughout the year do everything online. You can do it digitally, but the power of events such as Mobile World Congress and of course the many others that are around the world is what brings 190 countries together. And like you said, the local people, the people that may not be able to travel, the people that are still more analog, but are in the transition of digitalization. So that is a great point. And before we go today, Edwin, and before we continue our Edwin and Elise videos for 2023, can you give us a view of what is happening in your department for this next quarter of the year so that then I can ask you more questions on our next video?
Sure, and thanks for that. And I look forward to our collaboration in the coming year and onwards. A couple of things at play in this particular case. This whole thing that the world embarks on already for some time, which is called this digital transformation thing. I think what we mean by that is that it is a journey, as I often advocate, a journey that passes different stages, that is able to link and bring together different programs and initiatives to help organizations that move higher up the value chain in a much shorter time frame. It's a digital journey. And that journey is touching on so many different points. And what I mentioned earlier with non-digital native organizations or organizations and industries that have nothing to do with digital are also embarking on this same journey. And they are merging their interests. They are not so much cherry picking, but they are looking at other industries to see what they're doing there, to see if they can extrapolate or maybe bring it into analogy to their own industry and back and forth. And we've seen this not only at Mobile World Congress, but throughout industry transformation and acceleration for different industries. And at Mobile World Congress, this was very much at play. If you look at the partners, as you mentioned before, if you look at the solution stack that they don't so much show, but the solution stack that they were able to create, able to establish, able to roll out, able to work from, and able to optimize because of the combination of physical and digital, analog and digitization, if you like, mechanical and electrical combined with engineering, computing, and so on and so forth. Very clear characteristics. Out of that comes where we see the next steps for ourselves. We are using Mobile World Congress, of course, as a platform to not so much advertise, but also to advocate the different features and benefits of certain pieces of solutions in our technology stack that benefit industries that maybe are not known to you because they are on the other side of the world or because they are not so much in your timeline, so to speak. So we're using these global platforms or theaters, if you like, as a stage to bring certain messages and to share information from all over the world with our peers and those who are interested and who want to learn from it. Also learn how not to do it, or also learn how to do it differently. But that's an important point. For this, we conduct different summits, different site meetings, and so on and so forth. In my particular space, my department, the Electric Power Digitization Business Unit, we had an electric power summit for which we introduced, on top of the solution stack that we already have, 4 additional new solutions, which were new, which were not so much new from a technology point of view, but they were new as a domain to be addressed. For example, we've been doing a lot of intelligent energy solutions part in the transmission, in the power line inspection, in the energy generation side of the value chain, all the way to the distribution and to the transmission, and at the end where substations and where consumers are, for example, and a little bit of solar for that matter. But this year we've also looked at how wind turbines and wind turbine farms and areas where intelligent wind enablement or wind power network services can also support the efficiency in daily operations for those kind of services and for those kinds of domains, if you like. So that's a solution we actually introduced. The digitization of substations, the intelligent twin of a substation, and using the digital version of a substation, not only for optimization of daily operations, but also for renewing, upgrading, migrating, or maybe even replacing a substation number 1 for another substation, maybe even at another location. In this particular example, it's something that we have had at show and that we introduced as a solution. We've also looked further into industrial Internet of Things, but then specifically towards and within the electric power industry, which we call electric power distribution IoT. That's a specific domain. That's a specific solution domain for which off-the-shelf, commercially available, mature products, if you combine them and if you bring them together and let them work in a specific way, to be configured in a specific way, it unlocks the potential of a specific corner of the electric power industry, in this case, what we call power distribution IoT. And last but not least, an award-winning by ITU last year, the wireless campus network solution for low carbon and green implementations and optimization of work enablement and high-tech park. We had that award-winning solution specifically tailored towards the electric power organization, and then specifically the different sites that you can consider are campuses. The energy generation site could be a campus where energy is being generated. It's also where people work. It's sometimes even where people live nearby in shifts and so on and so forth. It looks like a high-tech park. It has different elements that makes it very much look like a campus. So we took our green wireless campus and zero carbon network solution, and we tailored it very specifically for the electric power industry, calling it our fourth solution that we've introduced at Mobile World Congress. And the reason I'm saying it in this way, because by starting with these four extra solutions, is to answer your question more specifically. Next is that from Mobile World Congress, where the interest now is being triggered, we have a lot of regions and even countries in specific regions that made us change our go-to-market strategy. Latin America, at some point, maybe you can imagine, has a certain time or time frame in our go-to-market, and we're turning that around. To be very exact, at the end of March and early April, I will be in Brazil to launch this, not from Mobile World Congress globally, but specifically for Latin America, and in this case also for Brazil in very specific. So it helps us, and it helped us to be even more targeted, even more precise in our not only solution design and solution introduction, but also the rollout of our marketing, go-to-market, organizational development, and sales strategies, basically. If that answers your question.
Absolutely, Edwin. And this is exactly what I love about our chats and talking to people like yourself, because it gives us a better understanding of how technology can help businesses and society be more efficient and productive. And I cannot wait to see what you do in Brazil, the launch, and of course, throughout this year and many more, do a lot more. So as always, Edwin, thank you so much for your time. And there you have it, guys. More insights from what went down during Mobile World Congress 2023. This is Elise Quevedo. Until next time.